It's super important, these types of facilities, but again, the management of these facilities, the outside, the areas in the surrounding neighborhood, managing those areas and keeping those safe for the residents and the businesses are equally important. And when all of those resources and funding are poured into the downtown east side rather than being put into the commercial drive area, that is a concern. And we've asked BC Housing, we've asked Coastal Health, we've asked the Vancouver Police Department, and we've asked the city, the Mayor and Council to provide more resources, more funding, and services. And those services we want to see at street level. So yes, people getting out of their offices in the form of foot patrols, if you will, or even with regard to the Vancouver Police Department to bring back what you would refer to as the beat patrol.
There is a need for a shelter. Where they put it, I think, is a big question. I don't think, I think they grabbed this building because it was available, and I don't think they really studied what the impact was going to be on the neighborhood. And a lot of businesses, it's kind of in the heart of the Commercial Drive Business District. It's next to the RBC, across the street from Dan City, and across the street from Super Value. The other issue is the low barrier, the fact that they allow them to do drugs on premise. And that, for us, we've been asking from day one, reconsider that policy, because that's where the problems lay. Because if they're allowing them to do drugs, then they go out into the community and they rob and steal to get the drugs to do at the shelter. That's a problem. And they won't acknowledge it, but it's definitely true. Get rid of the low barrier model. That's the problem. The drugs are the problem, it's not the shelter. People need a place to lay their head at night when it's cold out. We're not against that. We're against the drug use and all the problems that brings to our neighborhood. And that is where the rubber hits the road for us. I mean, we really, we can tolerate a lot of things, but needles on our property and, it's constant.
Our park across the street is great. We had a whole bunch of Olympic money funds put in to rebuild the park in just after 2010. I think it opened in 2013. And since then, the city has done nothing for it. And we have encampments periodically. It's the most used park in the city of Vancouver, yet has the worst support from the city for parks. The city does not care. When we have issues in the park rangers will not attend unless the police are there. The police hands are tied by the city. They have a very difficult time moving people along. They don't ticket people. And we have families there. It's a family park. We've got a kids center. We have our cenotaph, which I've been looking at for over 20 years, which I totally respect. And we just got a lot of bad stuff in our park, and it's not fair for the families and the businesses around here. But as for the shelters, we know we have a shelter at First and Commercial. They're the ones that are seeing effects from the shelter, more so than us. We have our same usual street people that we see year-round, but now that the weather's getting better, we'll get the transient homeless. They will come out and live in this park all summer long. There was already a bottle of wine being passed around this morning. And it's just what we live with. Not happily, but it goes on every day. If the neighborhood is changing due to redevelopment downtown, gentrification, we have heard rumblings from the city. It's like, that's okay. Well, no, it's not okay. You can't, just displacing people does not go after the core of the problem. And that's what we need to do. We need to go for the core of the problem, not just displace people. It's just not good for anybody.